What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Phillies Sports History for August 18th, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Sunday edition of the podcast. Before we get started, some quick housekeeping notes. Tuesday and Wednesday, I'll be recording from Penn State, going away for work. So you'll see a little bit of a different background, but the podcast will still be out. Be sure to follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mont at Twitter and TikTok, at Philly Jimbo on Instagram. Subscribe to the YouTube channel at Jimbo_Mont, and be sure to spread the word, like, subscribe, building the subscriber base. Thank you for all of that. So even if you're listening, subscribe to the YouTube channel and then subscribe, whether it's Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and just let's continue to grow this thing as we head to the 2-year anniversary of this day in Philly sports history. And then yesterday, I wasn't sure. I told you we were out to dinner and I couldn't pick up what the gift was for Chooch, but apparently it was the home plate from Wrigley Field for Cole Hamels' no-hitter in his last start as a Philly. So pretty cool. And really, I will say, the Phillies do a pretty awesome job with their alumni. Apparently, they gave them all those championship-style rings with the Hall of Fame logo, which are nice. But bringing everyone back, making sure everyone's a part of the ceremony, as David Montgomery got inducted into the Wall of Fame last night. Yes, even Juan Samuel, I will give props since he is in the Wall of Fame. But it was pretty cool. We went out again last night, so I was pointing out all of the different, like being able to recognize the players and everything like that is pretty cool. And naming the little angle there in center field, the Monty's angle, it's pretty cool because he was very instrumental in having some of those unique things in the ballpark. But like I said, I feel like the Phillies do a great job with their alumni and bringing everyone back and just really showcasing the team. And it hasn't always been a great history, so to be able to celebrate the guys that really did make an impact for the Phillies is pretty cool. And then the team responded well. Cristopher Sanchez was just outstanding. 2 hits in a complete game for him. Really needed that. And yes, I know it's the Nationals. However, being able to sort of get that momentum coming into next week with the Braves, Astros, and then the Braves again, it's really, to me, like I said, it was important to get some momentum here. They now have won 4 in a row, 4 or 5 on this homestand. Hopefully they can go for the sweep tonight or this afternoon. Tawan Walker is on the mound. But they have an 8-game lead right now on the Braves. So going into that Braves series starting Tuesday, they will have a minimum of a 7-game lead. And then the Braves are coming in from the West Coast, so could be catching them at a good time. But we'll take it. Big games coming up this weekend, but let's finish out strong, win 5 of 6. And like I said, the energy and everything really has turned around for this team. Yesterday, everyone except for Bryce got hits in the game. It just seems like they're almost like a weight has been lifted off their shoulder. So whatever team meeting, my rant, whatever it was that really turned this thing around, I'm all here for it, especially with the Braves coming in next week. Some other good news. Ranger Suarez did a simulated game yesterday. Looked good. Went, I guess, about 5 innings and then threw some extra pitches in the bullpen. Looked pretty good. Austin Hayes was a part of that simulated game. Both of them look like they could be on track to come back for the Royals series next weekend. Much needed reinforcements for the Phils, and let's just hope they can kind of slide right into what's been going on and going from there. But good win for the Phils last night. They look to sweep the Nationals this afternoon at 1:35. Be sure to check out my boys over at the Clash and Conferences podcast, doing great things. I keep telling you to check them out. That's available wherever you get your podcasts as well as on YouTube. Football is right around the corner. They are making plans to get the football crew back together as well. I signed up to do some, or I shouldn't say signed up, but agreed to do some fill-in and some guest work for them this year, so I will keep you posted on that as well. But go over, check them out wherever you get your podcasts as well as on YouTube. And then it's back to school shopping season. That's why I'm going to Penn State this week. Get your kids get started. You don't have to leave your home. It's supposed to be a stormy afternoon. Go to Philly Goat. Watch the Phils. Go to Philly Goat. Get your kids some stuff. And then use that promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, stickers for water bottles, all that good stuff. Be sure to use that promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order. And then next weekend is the watch party down at the Palladium with John Kruk. Looking forward to that. So it is kid friendly. I will see you there. But go to Philly Goat, use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order, and help yourself out and get your kids ready to go back to school. All right, Council Rock Newtown Little League continues to play on. They won 5-0 yesterday against New England. They will play again this afternoon against Washington. Again, trying to avoid elimination, but it seemed like they were much more comfortable and relaxed yesterday. So, boys, let's keep it going. Stay loose. As Brandon Marsh would say, stay loose and stay sexy. Get this W and continue to play into next week with a shot to get a little bit of revenge on that team from Texas. But a good win for them. They were definitely looked way more relaxed. So good for them. That is today at 1. I believe it's on ABC. So we'll be watching that here as well. Your Philadelphia Union are moving on to the semis of the Leagues Cup. It was 1-1, and they won it on penalty kicks. Andre Blake was good, stopping some of those penalty shots. They will play Wednesday against Columbus. They're now guaranteed 2 games because they're in the semifinals, so they'll get a third-place game. And then one more win out of these next 2 games, and they're guaranteed a spot in the CONCACAF Champions Cup next summer. So that is good. But let's go win this whole thing. Good win for them. But they're out in Columbus on Wednesday in the semifinals for a spot in the Leagues Cup final. All right. The Eagles continue to practice. Looked like Cooper DeJean was getting more reps, which is good. We'll have more on Cooper and the Eagles later in the show, but they're gearing up. They have their final preseason game Saturday. Not going to see much of anybody in there. Might take my son down, though. Get him into the stadium and kind of walk around. All right, today, in honor of Alumni Weekend, this guy was there. Do a little Mike Liebrathal today. And for some reason, August 18th is Mike Liebrathal Day. Lots of good things happened for him over the years. First, we're going to go back to 1997. And on this day in 1997, the Phillies beat the Giants 12-3. Mike Liebrathal hit a grand slam. Also in that game, Billy McMillon, who was just acquired by the Phillies in a trade for Darren Daulton from the Marlins, also hit a grand slam. It was only the second time in team history that the Phillies had hit 2 grand slams in a game. Doesn't happen often. And I was trying to find, I found conflicting sources. It's either happened 4 times or 5 times in team history. And I don't want to give you the wrong information, so I wasn't confident enough to put it out there. But I will say the last time it happened was in 2018. Maikel Franco and Aaron Altair both hit 2 grand slams in a game for the Phils. But on this day, Mike Liebrathal and Billy McMillon both hit grand slams in a 12-3 win over the Giants. And then Liebrathal, again, there's just something about this date for him. Going to fast forward 9 years later to 2006, Phil's lost to the Nationals 6-4, but Mike Liebrathal had himself a day, went 3 for 4 with 3 RBI, a homer, a double, threw out 2 base runners, and in the process set the record for games caught as a Philly with 1,125. I know I'm tough on Juan Samuel being in the Wall of Fame, but Mike Liebrathal is one of those guys I really do think deserves to be in the Phillies Wall of Fame. Kind of an underrated guy, and I think at the time a lot of people wanted him to be a power hitter, and he was more of a hitter for average, didn't have the power numbers, big double hitter, but he had 2 All-Star appearances, won a Gold Glove. Like I said, he's in the Hall of Fame, hit 275 with 255 doubles, only 150 home runs, and 609 RBI. And I think because of what we had with Darren Daulton, I think people wanted Liebrathal to be more of a power hitter. So I think that's one of those things that gets held against him. And it also did not help that those teams were very underachieving at the time as well. But Mike Liebrathal had himself a day on August 18th. In 1997, he hit a grand slam. 2006 set the Phillies team record for games caught, which he still holds today. Also went 3 for 4 at the plate. Home run, double, and threw 2 guys out stealing. So we shout out you today, Mike Liebrathal, on Alumni Weekend, for just always coming up big on August 18th. All right, finally today, our 20 questions in 20 days about the Eagles continue. Yesterday, though, I asked you which rookie was going to have the biggest impact, and this was, everybody had their own opinions, which was pretty cool, but 40% of you think Jeremiah Trotter Jr. will have the biggest impact. Hard to argue that. 30% say Cooper DeJean. Again, hard to argue that. He's kind of been slotted, no pun intended, as the starting slot cornerback. But Quinyon Mitchell has been doing well there. So I'd be anxious to see how they play that out with Vic Fangio. But 40% of you said Jeremiah Trotter will have the biggest impact as a rookie. Thank you, as always, for participating in the question of the day. We'll have another one later. And today, our spotlight and our question is probably one of the biggest questions coming into camp. Who's going to be the third receiver? Like, you have AJ, you have Devontae, but then it's a huge drop-off after that. And I'll knock on wood for this because both of those guys tend to remain fairly healthy, so it has not been an issue. But who's going to be that third receiver? And you have Paris Campbell, who appears to be the front runner, but he's battling back from a groin injury. He has the most experience, but he's just, as somebody who's taken chances on him a couple times in fantasy, he's just not very good. So that remains to be seen. I don't know how confident I would be with Paris Campbell. And then you got John Ross, who also a veteran with experience. But again, injury concerns. He's fast, but he might be used more for kickoffs. And again, he's just one of those guys that, like, he has the experience, but do you trust John Ross as your third receiver? Then you got Johnny Wilson, and he's good at blocking. He's tall. Okay, but he's also still a rookie. Nick Sirianni says it's going to be probably a combination of all three of them, depending on the situation. I think it's one of the biggest weaknesses of this team this year is wide receiver depth. And truthfully, over the past couple of years, it's been a weakness. I mean, think about the Super Bowl. Quez Watkins dropping that pass that would have clinched essentially the Super Bowl for the Eagles. And then you're running out like Julio Jones, who's 175 years old. You got Olamide Zaccheaus, who it would have been a great story, just didn't work out. Zach Pascal. So that third spot is, I mean, really once you get into like 4, 5, and 6, it's not that big of a deal. But you need somebody. Now, offensively, they could use the tight ends. They could use Saquon, which hopefully with Kellen Moore's offense, we'll see more wide receiver or running back pass catching. But it's not something that the Eagles historically have done under Nick Sirianni. Britt Covey's an interesting name. He's been having a good camp, and they love him. So, again, that's an intriguing sort of option there. But, again, are you going to trust Britt Covey as your third receiver? I mean, and again, you don't want to wish or think about these guys getting hurt, but if AJ or Devontae have to miss time for whatever reason, I mean, that's a huge drop-off. So who's the number 3 receiver? My gut feeling is he's not on this team yet. I just have a feeling Howie is going to make a move. He's looking to see who's out there, waiting possibly to see who's not going to make a team. I just don't feel that guy is on the roster. And to be honest, 3 through 6 as on the receiver, I'm not that confident in. I think we have a bunch of 4, 5, and 6s. There is not a number 3. And I mean, Paris Campbell, like I said, has the most experience and the best pedigree, you could say, but I'm not comfortable. I mean, he wasn't that good in New York. He was a disappointment when he was in Indianapolis. I'm just not confident, and my gut is telling me that guy is not on the roster yet. And again, we're not necessarily in need of a guy to come in here and catch 80 balls, especially with the way the offense is. However, you need that insurance just in case they got to miss a game or two. Obviously, if they miss multiple games or long-term injury, then we're having a different conversation. But I think guys get nicked up. It's a 17-game season. Chances are they're going to miss a game or two. And I am not confident with Paris Campbell, John Ross, Johnny Wilson, or Britt Covey to fill in consistently. I mean, Will Shipley could be a weapon, but again, he's not a wide receiver, so it just makes me uncomfortable. There are some big name free agents still out there, but a lot of these guys are just that, big names. Michael Thomas, I have a feeling he's like Julio Jones 2.0. Not really interested in him. Hunter Renfrow is an interesting name that keeps popping up, but for some reason, I feel like there's a reason why these guys going into the third week of the preseason haven't been signed yet. But I wouldn't mind bringing in Hunter Renfrow. He's still young enough, and I think he would fill that spot nicely. That would be my choice if they're going to bring in somebody from the outside. Guys like Corey Davis, Randall Cobb, Juju Smith-Schuster, Calais Claypool, they're all out there. Nobody's moving the needle. Like, of those guys, the only one, like I said, is Hunter Renfrow that I would be interested in. There's a possibility they make a trade. I don't know how much you're going to get, but maybe a team wants Kenny Pickett as their backup quarterback. Why? I don't know. I don't want him as my backup quarterback. That's a different question for a different topic or a different day. So I don't know what they're going to do. This is, to me, one of the top two questions. Is either this or offensive line depth. But this could be a real issue, especially if AJ or Devontae get banged up. And it's one thing that's really tempering my expectations for this team is it's a huge drop-off. Now, they have Dallas Goedert. They have Albert O. They have Saquon Barkley, Will Shipley, Kenny Gainwell, guys at the other positions. But, man, like, I just don't know. I do think this is why I'm big on Dallas Goedert having a big year this year, because I think that tight end is going to kind of fit into that third receiver role. But they still need somebody. They need to add some depth. But what do you say? What are your thoughts on the third wide receiver? Who's going to get it? Campbell, Ross, Wilson, Covey, or somebody to trade for somebody? Let me know. 267-495-8531. That's the Back to the Future voice and text line. Get that, anything else Philly sports related off your chest. Want to wish the Council Rock Newtown Little League good luck today? You can do that. Want to talk Phillies going into that big series against the Brave? It's all fair game. But who's going to be the third receiver? Is it going to be Paris Campbell, John Ross, Johnny Wilson, or is it somebody who's not on the roster yet? Let me know your thoughts. I have a feeling Howie's going to make a move. This seems to be what he does. He's in tune with what guys are likely going to get cut, and I have a feeling we're either going to get a guy that's cut or we're going to sign one of these guys. And if it's up to me, before anybody else does, Howie, go sign Hunter Renfrow to a veteran minimum deal. Bring him in on a prove it, and that will help. Hunter Renfrow literally will help ease my concerns about this spot. But what do you think? Is that the way to go? Are you happy with what is on the table? Do you think doing it by committee, depending on what the situation calls for, is the way to go? Give me a call. Send me a text message on the Back to the Future voice and text line, 267-495-8531. My thoughts, though, they're going to go out and get somebody who I don't know, but that is my thought. Happy Mike Liebrathal Day. August 18th, from here on out on this podcast, will be Mike Liebrathal Day. I've just decided by decree of me, it is Mike Liebrathal Day. On this day in 1997, he hit a grand slam along with Billy McMillon. Second time in team history that happened. And then in 2006, he set the record for games caught by a Philly, 1,125. He also went 3 for 4 at the plate, threw 2 runners out, had a home run, had a double. So Mike Liebrathal, happy Mike Liebrathal Day. August 18th, from here on out, will be Mike Liebrathal Day. Thank you. for listening to my TED Talk. All right, good luck, though, to the Council Rock Newtown Little League team as they look to stay alive in the Little League World Series. Remember, boys, just relax, go out there, have fun, play like you did yesterday, and you'll be fine. Phils look for the sweep of the Nationals. It'd be nice to get that, and then maybe somehow the Braves might be looking ahead to their trip back east and maybe get caught up out in LA against the Angels, and we have a 9-game lead coming into that series against the Braves, which would be huge. But go have yourselves a Sunday. Enjoy the day of sports that we have in front of us, which it's a good one. Remember, I'll be in Penn State Tuesday and Wednesday. Again, not by choice, but hey, it is what it is. You got to do what you got to do. But again, have yourselves a Sunday. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for August 18th, 2024. My name is Jim Montgomery. Happy Mike Liebrathal Day. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.